All right, members of the press, thanks again for being here with us. We start tonight's post-game press conference with Dwight Yorke, head coach of the Trinidad and Tobago men's team. We go straight into questions by show of hands. Go ahead.
Coach Yorke, we experienced a 7.6 earthquake yesterday in the Caribbean. We saw Trinidad coming to Kingston now, playing Jamaica, shaking them a little bit, throwing them off their game. What is your assessment of tonight's match?
Well, listen, I expected the game to be a very competitive game, and I hope the fans that who's come in to watch the game is walked away and see two of probably the best teams in the Caribbean areas go head to head. It was highly entertaining, very aggressive at times, which we expect. Some good stuff in between all of that. I think in the end, I suppose that we will probably be a little bit disappointed in terms of the result, but I've always stated before, I have a bigger vision in terms of where we want to be. And this was a good test for us against a very good Jamaican team, and just to try and close the gap and see how far we are. This then gives us another idea to not just see how close we can be to Jamaica, but certainly give the opportunity as well to some of these players to play in a very, very tough stadium.
Go ahead.
Coach, are a little bit better than I did today. Having another issue in the wide areas, we don't want to stray the ball into the box, but a little bit better in the set piece as well. Trinidad coming up and scoring for you as well.
Yeah, listen, we're a progressive team. We know that there is still some hard work to be done. We taken from the game a few days back areas that we needed to improve. But in terms of the structure, the balance, the players understanding the system, we talk about philosophy and playing style. It takes some time for us to get there, but we are headed in the right direction, and tonight was another positive step. So, yeah, those are areas that we're looking to improve. We know that we only have a short period of time to work with these players. Again, we had a selection of maybe 11 or 12 new faces into the squad, so it's never really rolling like we like to have it, but it's very encouraging and very positive.
Yeah, go ahead.
Coach, were you surprised with the amount of space that you got in the first half?
Sorry?
Were you surprised with the amount of space that you got to play in the first half?
No, not really. I think that Jamaica have the way to play, and we know exactly. We have studied the way how Steve McCurran likes to set up his team, and we have a way how we want to play and stick to our game plan. And we find that if we can possess the ball a little bit and try to frustrate Jamaica a little bit, frustrated them a little bit, then it will open. We know the first, maybe say 10, 15, 20 minutes is always going to be a little frantic. Once we came through that spell, then we come into our own, and you can see the players growing confidence as we go ahead.
So were you disappointed to concede so late?
Yeah, I think anybody likes it because, you know, and this is another learning curve. You know, we felt that we've done enough to win the game. I'm sure the fans and the people who are probably looking on the sort of what is it, what station? Right. You know, the people who are looking at the game will probably think that we were slightly the better team and probably a little bit unfortunate to concede such a late stage in the game. It's always a little bit. The players are very disappointed, in fact, there, and I think for me that's really good. That's a real good sign that is happening, that, you know, that we have come this far in such a short space of time. But there's a lot of work, and we know that going forward we need to see those games off.
So the game that I've shown on GFF YouTube.
Okay.
Right. Go ahead, guys. 1 second. Go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, 2 questions. You mentioned that you're a progressive team. So I'd like to ask you about the in-possession and out-of-possession structures. So firstly, with the out-of-possession structure, especially in the first half, I noticed that you set up a team much more aggressively. The man-to-man press was stifling a lot of what Jamaica would like to do in possession. Do you think that would be a feature of the team going forward?
Yeah, I think it's something that we have struggled a little bit in the past, particularly here in the Caribbean. I assume, I can only speak for my team, the experience as a player and now looking from the outside before I've taken the job. We struggle when we're out of position, and I think the only way we can counter-attack that is to guide the players through when we're in position. When we're out of position, sorry, the position of play, you know, players tend to switch off here quite a lot. So that's something we talk about, structure and balance and concentration. All of these things are part of my philosophy that I'm trying to improve in those areas. And you can see tonight, even though the players are a little bit overthinking, but at least they're following the guideline, what we're trying to do. So you can find our structure and system are much more in sync when we're out of position. When we're in position, of course, I want the players then to release and go and express themselves, because that's never been an issue for us, particularly Trinidad and Tobago, when we get the ball in terms of going forward and creating chances. So that's probably, I won't say the least part of what I need to concentrate on, but the biggest factor is the players are buying into our ideas and our philosophy, and we will continue to grow and build.
Yeah, Coach, and when it comes down to in-possession structure, I noticed that, I don't want to say it's a continental style of play, but especially when you build up 3-2 very comfortably with central progression at times, much more comfortable on the ball than the Jamaicans would have been. Seeing that your team would be a lot of new players, were you impressed that they were able to grasp that concept, especially progressing the ball centrally?
I think what is even more impressive is that we only had literally, you know, 4 days to work with these players and to implement those ideas. And often enough, you tend to think that they will struggle. I think what that tells me that my players are really focusing and really want to make this happen. And for me, that's the biggest challenge. Being an ex-player, I kind of understand that no matter who manager comes in, if the players are not focusing and really focus on and implementing your ideas, it's going to be a struggle. And so it's very encouraging, even though it's such a short space of time. The players have really shown the effort, the energy. As you said, when we get the ball, something that we struggled in the first game, we look a lot more composed, and as you said, in terms of advancing into the right areas. And I think, we're not going to get ahead of ourselves. We got a lot of work to do, and the players understand that, and we will continue to make sure that the players work in the right way in terms of getting to the level we were trying to get to.
Go ahead.
Okay, Coach, you mentioned getting players to the right level. Your next match, FIFA date, is the 6th of June, where you play your first World Cup qualifier against St. Kitts and Nevis. What is the mentality coming out of this series, heading back to Trinidad?
Yeah, we have Cuba first in March, and that is a big qualifying games
for the Gold Cup.
For the Gold Cup. So yes, I understand your question of certainly the World Cup, but we got to focus on Cuba first because we want to try and qualify for the Gold Cup as well. So our energy will then switch from here. The players will then disperse to the various clubs. We'll have to obviously put our heads together in terms of picking an official 23 or 25 man squad for that game against Cuba. But we're going to sit back and reflect. It's been a really tough 7 days for the players in terms of back-to-back games. It's us now, me and my backroom staff, and certainly the technical staff to make sure and try to put the best possible team available for us against Cuba.
2 more questions, go ahead.
Yes, Coach, backtrack a little bit to the game. You mentioned in your previous interview the disruption, the changes in the game. What was basically your lead at the time when you made a host of changes? What was basically your instruction to your team at that stage to manage the game? Because I know you don't want to see what result. Just give me your insight.
Yeah, listen, I made a commitment to the players that everybody should have at least some minutes on the pitch. And so with the 2 games in hand, we needed to try and get everybody on the pitch to give them a fair chance in terms of, implementing the ideas and being part of the team. So my hands was not forced, but it was part of our strategy to definitely implement. We wanted to make 11 changes straight away, but unfortunately only 6 could warm up at the time. So that kind of restricted us from making the substitute, but then we had to change formation. I'm not sure if you're aware of that. We went to a 4-4-1 system in the end instead of a 5-3-2 that we played earlier on. So again, the players have to take in those instructions, and sometimes in the game and sometimes as we progress, we may have to make those changes, depends on the opposition that we play. So we did go from a 5-3-2 to a 4-4-1 in the end.
We have 1 more question, because we're a bit pressed for time. Go ahead.
Coach Yorke, on the positive take from this game, especially when attacking Mona, reaching into the middle third, you guys seems to do very well. In the wide areas, will you guys go from better players to fix that issue, or it will work with these players to get them better going forward?
Listen, I think that what we are trying to do here and where we are trying to get to will take a nucleus of players, not just just 24 players. Barring injuries, barring suspensions, all these things that comes with it. So we have to have a pool of players that we have to gather, and then we will then select from that. But that's, what was encouraging is that these players, the new faces that joined us is come straight and fit in, and that's what it takes. For where we're trying to go and trying to obviously get to the World Cup, we will need these players to bind. So this is another step in terms of the players getting the feel for what we are trying to build, and we get to see them, and they could understand what we are trying to do. I think when you then put all that together, then hopefully it will all come together eventually.
We have 1 Trinidadian in the press tonight, so I'm going to allow him a question.
Right, because games changes. You're saying they were predetermined to manipulate things like that. Did you think the timing was right at that time based on the run of play?
No, yeah, listen, we had the numbers. We do those due diligence work. We know exactly who is playing, who is not playing, who needs time. So that was planned from before. We don't second guess what we do. We sit down and go through every details as to what substitution, when substitution, what is going on, because some of these players obviously played a little bit. We needed guys to get 30 minutes so we know exactly who was going to come off. If I could have made 11 substitution at that time on the 60-minute mark, I would have done. But unfortunately, it kind of disrupts us. It kind of disrupts us a little bit. But eventually we get back at it. Unfortunately, at the end we conceded. But
Did you find it good for you?
yeah, fine. Yeah, I was very happy. I'm very happy with of course, the results could have been a bit kinder towards us. But overall, I am very pleased over the 2 days, the 2 games that we played. And as I said, there's a lot of hard work to be done. And this is just another step in the right direction for us.
All right, thank you very much, Member Press. Right, thank you.
Cheers, guys. Oh, yeah.